My name is Gigi Nadeau, and I am working today from Candiac, the traditional territory of Haudenosaunee. If you want to learn more about this land on which I am standing, you can visit the website nativeland.ca.
Hello, my name is Lucie Dubuc. I am currently in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, and I recognize that I am on the traditional territory of the Mohawks and Abenakis. I'm librarian at Riverside School Board. I work closely with Gigi and Sophie, our presenter. I'm also on the QSLiN Symposium Planning Committee, and I represent QSLiN on the Comité de liaison des bibliothécaires scolaires at the Education Ministry.
Lucie and I work as school board librarians, as she just said, at Riverside. It is on the south shore of Montreal. We are passionate about school libraries accumulating many years of experience. We are devoted to elementary schools. We support high schools and the development of the online library. This is when and how we met Sophie Lapointe. She has been working to Riverside School Board for 25 years, first as a teacher, then as an elementary school principal, and now as an administrator for adult education and international student. Sophie is a dedicated educator in whatever role she is playing in the education system. Following an initiative from the librarian consultant and the HISI at Riverside, participating teachers from Sophie's school were inspired to embark on a rejuvenating project for Mountain View School Library. This is the topic of this presentation from Sophie, and you will notice how her creativity has been put to good taste. Mountain View, by the way, is located in Otterburn Park, close to the Richelieu River.
So please note that the chat will be unavailable during the presentation, and it will be reopened for the question period. So let's hear Sophie share her experience.
Thank you very much, Lucie and Gigi. And yes, we have worked closely together, and your role in this project is also very important. So I was presented, I don't need to say more, but I'm happy to see that one of my parents, a member of my Mountain View community, is here today. So I want to say hi, Teresa. So I'm going to start with the presentation. So I called it Walk with Your Community to Transform Your Library, because this is so important. You cannot do it alone. Of course, as it was mentioned. So where do we start? You know, first, when you go visit libraries and you go into schools or you do work in the library, of course, you love it. You are excited. You can dream of changing things. You can imagine and you can be excited. But if you are alone, I don't think you can get anywhere. You can make some changes, but if others are not adhering, well, it will take longer and it will be harder. So as Lucie and Gigi has mentioned at the beginning, well, it was in the spring. I'm going to go in the timeline of the projects just because it's part of the history. So in spring 2018, some of my teachers came back very excited. They were coming back from leading libraries, from Gigi, Lucie, and other teachers, and they were very excited, saying, you know what if the library is not just a place where we can borrow a book and bring back the books open only 2 days a week? What if it becomes a learning hub, a carrefour d'apprentissage? And that was the workshop they just had attended. So, of course, when I do arrive in the school, especially in Mountain View, I was there. I saw the library, needed some love. And I think you heard something about love, right? Knowledge without love will not stick. You need love first. It's like being a teacher. You need to connect first, and then, knowledge can happen, sharing can happen. So, of course, the classroom, like the library, needed love. There was some random things, you know, there was some painting that was done. It was, c'était pas un tout. It was like many tryouts of trying to make something. There were books, yes, there were tables, there were chairs, but was there any really the life what we wanted to do? So so that's why that was in the spring 2018. So, you know, summer happened, and then at the beginning of the 18-19 school year, I created a committee with some of my teachers. Actually, if some of you knows Mountain View, you might recognize the teachers. It's their Bitmoji, right? So and so we did created a committee. So, and this is pictures of the original library that we had, you know, a random spider web in the back, you know, the shelves, you know, it was a library. There were bookshelves, there were books, tables, and chairs, and great librarian and great volunteers that we had. So the people was in place. Now, we wanted to change something. So first question is why? What is the purpose? Did we want to change just the color of the walls and the furniture? What did we wanted to change? And for us, it was being another part where students could learn. That's why it was called for a long time the Learning Hub. Like I've mentioned, not just to, you know, take out books and read books and bring them back, but another place where a student could learn, study, practice, do group work, read. We wanted to be an attractive place where they would feel good, and it would be a common space for the whole school, not just reserved for the grade 6 students, for example. Of course, what we wanted to change was the colors, the furniture, the disposition, you know, where things would be, the schedule. And we wanted to change the traditional idea of a library to give them, and hopefully one of the goals was for students to realize that there is a place where you can read, you can learn, and the library, it's that, and it's more than that. It's not just to, you know, like I said, bring back books. So that was the first question, and I had a committee with me. So what we did now, I had a few teachers, we were all together, all in the same, you know, the same project. Now we had to move forward because it's going hand in hand with your community. So that's why what we did in December, it was a school-based pet day. You probably all have that, a pet day where the school decides what kind of PD teachers want. And the decision was made that this year, it was December 2018, it was to dream our library. And then I called Lucy and Gigi because they put a love into the libraries at Riverside. Very happy to have them. And we started dreaming. Like we had the purpose. Now it was, okay, let's dream about what do we need to do and where can we get inspired. So with Gigi and Lucy, we together, the three of us, we organized, and there was one volunteer, a library volunteer, parent volunteer, part of this day, and staff, the teachers. And what we did, we separated them into groups. We sent them in the whole region. They had to visit 2 or 3 libraries each, elementary school, secondary schools, other school boards. We even visited French school boards, the city's library. So they visited 2 or 3 in the morning. So that was the morning. They were visiting, and you know what? We asked them to take pictures. They had to come back with what they liked, their coup de cœur. So they were taking pictures, and then I bought them lunch because sometimes you need to feed the teachers. And so, so on that day, so they came back with all their pictures, and they had to create a PowerPoint to present to the others. what they like, where did they visit, where was it, what kind of setting it was, what they liked, and to show the others. So I chose a few pictures that they took during their visit. So we went to Riverside, Marie-Victorin, Des Patriotes, Longueuil cities. We had quite a few anyway. So it was very, very interesting. So, and they presented the coup de cœur after lunch, and all afternoon we were dreaming about it. And Lucy and Gigi were there. So we, and everybody was kind of excited. That's what you want. I was not the only one excited. We had, volunteers and teachers excited. So that was very nice. And you'll see these pictures were taken during the visits. And when you look at our library, our new learning hub, you'll see some similarities, because when you have something in mind, when you have visualize something, well, you know what? When you come back, the reality kinds of become what you have seen. So that was very, very an exciting time. But you know what? Things take time. That was December 2018. So that being said, after you dream, you all know that after you dream, what do you need to do? It's to get back to reality, and what steps should we take together? So now we had the teachers. After what we needed, after dreaming with the staff, we had to go dream with who? With the students. So every classroom had to draw or to write down their ideas. Of course, grade 1 drew, grade 6 wrote. So they had to come up with all the ideas. So every classroom did the exercise with their teachers. And then one representative from every classroom came with me. You have to feed people. Came with the principal, had lunch, and we discussed about their ideas. They were showing the others and myself, and some teachers of the committee were also present, and we wrote down their ideas. And what came out a lot from students is they wanted to have a theme, whatever it was, and different places where to sit. Some wanted a pool, but that didn't go through, that one. They wanted, they have their kids. That was great. But they want having a theme and different ways to sit down came very strongly. So we did dream with the students. After that, I have met with the volunteers, like, how do you see this? What do you need in order to do your job as a librarian, a volunteer librarian in the school? But that you have to be careful, because some of these volunteers had painted the purple wall. So you have to be careful on how you bring it. You cannot just come and say, hey, you know what, we want to change this, all this, wall is ugly and whatever. So you really have to be careful. Like, they've tried to do something, but changing the color of the wall doesn't change the purpose. They're just changing the place and the love. But still, the idea was great, but it was like a non-finished work. So also it was brought up to governing board, and that's where slowly we start talking about it to, well, of course, parents and the community. So what we needed, of course, we cannot do it only as a staff, volunteers, and the principal. So we have asked the community about ideas and support. So collaborators, of course, the librarians, Gigi and Lucy, I had them with me, hand in hand. Governing board approve some of the fundraising at some point, and approve the whole transformation of this library that we now call the Learning Hub. GDPL, what you see on the screen may be smaller than I wish, sorry about that, but it's Grand Défi Pierre Lavoie in the past few years, the school had participated in the Grand Défi Pierre Lavoie, and they told me that we had some money in the pot there waiting for us, a few thousand. It was like up to 6,000. That was very good. So I had to write up our project, and there we go. And at the same time, Grand Défi Pierre Lavoie, what they did is they put us in contact with the pharmacist of Audubon Park. She was participating in the Grand Défi Pierre Lavoie. She was going to bike for, many kilometers and raising money for a cause. And she was they gave me the contact. Anyway, we contact each other, and she was now embarking with us in this project. The only condition for her, it was to have an active part in the library, meaning we call it flexible seating. So it was very important, like standing up, biking, there was that condition. So we were able to meet that. And also, you know what? The designer was from our community, and she did it for free. We found a way to pay her, to thank her, but she's a real designer, but she was not working at the time, and she was willing to help us as she was part of the community. So we started, that was beginning of December 2019, the beginning, the winter, and because that was after our visits. So we started sharing, what we've seen, the visits. She's met with the committee. We shared with her the students' ideas, our ideas as a committee, and the pictures that we had taken, the pictures that you saw the slide before. So she started making some plans. So we went back and forth. She met with us. We were able to see, and we even tried changing some furniture right away. We changed some things just for to see if it would work, and with the plan. And you can see it on the bottom right, the picture of the first plan. But there was a lot of post-its, a lot of back and forth. Okay, this would work, this not. Can you what exactly do you want? And by the way, the theme that was chosen was the forest. Actually, it's the designer who said, well, that theme kind of appeals to me. The pictures you've sent me, that would be a good fit. And from the windows, the wall is full of windows. And by the way, what do you see? It's called Mountain View, not for nothing. We see the Mont Saint-Hilaire from the window. So for her, it was like obvious. It wouldn't be the ocean or anything else. It would be the forest. And it was one of the themes that students had presented. So there was all that spring, from January to June 2019. And by the way, every time we had a fundraising, it was for the library. So parents knew, community knew, every time we were raising money, it was for the new learning hub. That was our whole project. Now the school was, all involved. And all the steps were shared with governing board. We did it with parents as well, just to mention, we have raised that amount of money. And anyway, and we had some help from people from the community, and starting the physical change. Like with the furniture we had, just to see what would work. We made some changes right away. So now after you're starting, you're getting your money, it's coming, you have your ideas, you have your plan, you've started the changes. Now what's next? Well, you need to do the real stuff. Now the physical, real changes. And who do you get involved at this point? The custodians, day and night, le concierge de jour et de soir. So because they will be helping you, they're your friends at this point, because some tiles on the floors are not right. Of course, the quotes, the painting will come. Gigi and Lucy pack the books per theme, in order to, when you open the box, when you're moving, you have to be organized. Otherwise, it's chaos. And Lucy and Gigi were very good for that. So the custodian, la concierge, caretaker was involved. The school board, not only Gigi and Lucy from Ed Services, but Met Resources, electricity. We wanted some plugs everywhere because one of the plan was to have iPad, to have a table by the window, looking in the window, plug, the laptops, the iPads, the robots. So we needed more electricity. We wanted a screen with a projector. So, and we needed to go with internet, taking cork boards. And I don't know if you can see the picture on the top right. There was a the whole wall was a cork board, and there was amiante in it. So we had to decontaminate because it happens, right? And that was the winter of 2020. You see why I'm telling you about the dates, because it goes with the history of the project. We had local companies for painting, furniture. We had parents volunteer, the librarians, the staff, anybody. At some point, everybody was involved, but the physical work, books, librarians, and the rest, volunteers, myself, staff, custodians. So you can see, ça devient un peu le bordel. But right, chaos, great things come from chaos. And actually, so all that year, 2019-20, all that fall, we had the money and we were starting, to get all the projects coming together. And then what happened in March 2020? Well, beginning of March 2020, the principal was at IKEA, to buy some furniture. We needed armoire, and with the designer, she sent me to buy a few things. So that's where I was at the beginning, after the March break. You know what? I think it was March 11. When did the Prime Minister close the school? On the 13th, he spoke on the 12th. Anyway, on the 11th, I was at IKEA. Anyway, so, but the painting was done. Thank God, the painting was done during March break 2020. So that was great. And in March 2020, like everybody else, and it's part of the history. That's why I'm presenting it to you, because everything stops. The grand opening was the end of March 2020. That's why during March break and the weeks after, it was like finishing and opening. Of course, we never opened in March 2020. But just to tell you, well, of course, nobody were in the schools. The school was empty. And we were able to come back, I think, beginning of May. What was the principal doing? While everybody was doing online teaching, she was putting together the armoire, because the math resources were starting to come in the schools. So, and I know in May, also Gigi and Lucy came, to put some books, starting to put the books out. The armoire were there. So, and you can see the empty. So that was kind of the transformation. C'est cocon qui devenait papillon, là, tranquillement. But of course, we never opened that year, that school year. We only had kids, I think in June, just a few kids in June with mask, visor, you know the story. So when we came back in September, in the fall, well, it was still pandemic. We were all wearing masks. We were all wearing visors. We were all keeping our distance. We were all washing our hands. So how can we get a room that is a common room? So it's not possible. So September, and we were coming back. It was a little crazy time. So that was during the fall 2020. What we did, we were able to have the designer finish the decoration. That was great. So we had time finally. So instead of rushing, because before pandemic, everybody was in a rush, and now we had time to do things. So we took the time. We had no dates. All we knew is we cannot even open just because we cannot be together in a room. more than, a few people or one classroom. Even then, you need the space. So because everybody had, everything had stopped during the pandemic. So in the fall, it gave us time to receive the furniture, do the decoration, put the books back in the shelf, and enjoy the time. So that was during the fall. And it gave us the time to decorate and create the space, but create the spark. You know what? Students wanted to see that library. So we had blocked the window. They couldn't see it. It was a surprise. And it was kind of a suspense. And also we have started to share, what was in the library. And by the way, and I know you see that picture in the middle, that is me taking the picture. I'm a photograph on the weekends and at night when I do have a life. So I do photography, and I went to Mont-Saint-Hilaire, and that picture is a big, big, big mural on the wall because that was our theme. So it's my legacy to Mountain View, that pictures, but it went, I don't know if you remember, but there was a picture. If we look at that slide, when we visited, you see on the right, there was a picture of a forest. So that kind of guide, I guess, the designer. So that's why when I did offer that big, picture of and it's Mont-Saint-Hilaire, we see it in the window from the library. So, and the designer was great. The seating, we have flexible seatings. You can see on the top left, it's a log. Actually, it's a 3-dimension log. Now the picture is taken from up, but it's a 3-dimension log that kids can sit on them. The leaves on the carpet. There's cushions. Gigi covered our old cushion. She made it so nice to fit the rest. And there were some additions, but the decoration, and you know what? We could have done it ourselves, put some posters on the walls. But with the designer, she added so much, even real trees, the bouleaux, and I'll show you in a minute the finished part. But anyway, the finished result. But she added so many details, and at some point it was like, oh, she's coming back with bags. Like, what else? What else can she bring? And it's little things hanging from the ceiling, a small lamp, les toutous. There's a lot of, it was just it added so much to the design of the library and the idea that we had 2 years ago. So you can see how it was all brought up. And also, of course, the suspense for the kids, they couldn't wait to go back in this room. And what we did, that is it was a PowerPoint, a slide that we showed the kids, and we gave them, after the grand opening, we gave them one time every classroom. Each day there was one classroom visiting, and we had to pass, remember that time, 2 hours in between for disinfection and everything. But they each all their time, and there was a rally. They had to find these things in the library, kind of a rally to make it fun. So the kids could take ownership of that new space. And that was important. After all the adults were involved and the community was involved, it was important for the students to get, take ownership of that space that we have put love in, and they had to feel it, right? So what we did, and it was on November 30th, 2020, that we were able to do the official opening. And of course, it's part of our history of this. And you can see the library, you can see la murale, on the top left, the picture, you can see les bouleaux à gauche, les fenêtres, and on the right, la grande murale de la forêt that gives, the impression of being in the forest. And you can see the picture, like from different point of view. but everything, and we have some tables, where you can stand, sit, that they can, rise. We have high chairs, smaller table, high table. So that's the different. We had flexible seating. We had pedals for students. We had all kinds of chairs to sit, to be able to work and sit in that space. So the official opening, what you do, well, because it was pandemic, it was streamed live on YouTube to the whole community. Students were in the classroom, could watch it. And we had some invités, of course, all the ones, Gigi and Lucie were there. The designer was there, the pharmacist who participated, governing board chair was there, and even the DG of the school board. It was his first visit since March 2020. He had never been in a school, and that was his first school visit in November 2020 to see this. So everyone did a speech from a different place in the Learning Hub, and each class had a time to visit, look at things, but they saw it on TV, on their screen in their classroom before they were able to visit. They were so excited. So that's why we kind of created that story and building it and suspense. And of course, pandemic gave us time to build that suspense. And finally, we did a contest to find a name, and it's now called The Woods. During pandemic, when, there was less students, teachers kind of found a new place with the staff room to have lunch. But at some point, we opened it, 2021, 21, 22, we started opening it even at lunchtime. And there's a schedule, there's a screen. We can have more than one classroom at the time. When there's a presentation, when there's something in the school, it became a common place to be. And we opened it, we have teachers volunteering at lunch. Well, I'm talking about the present, but I'm not there anymore. I don't know if it's still happening, but hopefully, teachers being willing to spend their lunchtime with students who just wants to read, do a group work, study. It's their place too. It's not just something we wanted to be, to be nice, but there was a purpose, and that was what was in our, in our mind during the whole process. So pandemic had the part to play. That's part of our history. And that is what we call now walking hand in hand with your community. Everybody is always informed, and all the fundraising was for that. Everybody knew it. We had some help. And that's how, and by the way, I went back after 6 months being a principal there, and there was a retirement party, and it was in that space and the new Learning Hub. And you know what? It became a place to be when we want to get together. So it's not just picking up a book 30 minutes a week anymore. So alone we are smart, together we are brilliant. I believe in this. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Sophie. We will open the chat, so it will be a question period. So you may write your questions in the chat, or you may raise your Zoom hand if you want to ask questions, and you will be invited to turn on your mic.
Ooh, that was that clear.
There's something I wanted to add. I remember calculating the number of books and the space that we needed for the books, and calculating the number of shelves we needed to place all the books. And there's another thing also. We asked a furniture company to design us a big cart to put all our bande dessinée.
Yeah, that was one thing that the teachers wanted.
So almost everything is on wheels. So when there is an event in the library, we can push the furniture. So so there's a lot of things happening.
C'est ça, and even the wheels. Every table is on wheels that we can push. And measuring how much meters of books do we need. And you know what? And just thinking about the kids, you see the armoire. Well, you don't see it, and it was small on my. I'm sorry about that, but the shelf had to be student size. Like having books up on the shelf, they will be dusty. So anyway, I don't know if I see the chat going and I can't read it.
I saw a message, somebody saying that loving the ideas of going and visiting all kind of libraries. I have to also say that they also went to visit the CJEP library at Champlain. Yes, and also an office library, I think in a law firm. It was really, it's a mix of many kind of ideas, and it was quite uplifting, the whole process.
Yeah.
I remember the public library just besides our office. It's a Saint-Hubert, Brassard. I don't remember which public library it is. It's a very nice library that.
It's Saint-Hubert et Raymond-Lévesque.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Very inspiring.
Yes, people like it. I remember I was also in awe with the idea of the pharmacists being involved in the pharmacists from the community. It's rare you see such a huge variety of people getting together to transform a school library. I felt it was, and the library setting is such a beautiful place with the window overlooking the mountain. It's a beautiful space.
Yes, and I see Teresa. Thank you. Her kids went to, Kieran, your youngest, Teresa was part, I think, of the process before he graduated, right? But it has become a place where people want to be.
Erin has a question.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for that presentation. And I'm trying to I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. How do we all get a principal like you? No, but what I mean by that is where did the initial inspiration for this come? And because you had to gather so much support, but was it you that came up with the idea? Was it just sort of over the years you gathered feedback?
It was my first year there. If we're talking about spring 2018, where teachers, you arrive in the school and you see the library and say, hey, hi, I think this could be a better place. And but who am I to change the whole thing? I'm just arriving. So the teachers came back. So you need librarians like Gigi, you need presentations. Like teachers went to the leading library workshop and came back with, hey, Sophie, that was great. We should have, and I'm the kind of principal and person that is always open. And it was like, yes, it's not just me. Now I can have, there were 2 teachers only. That's how it started. 2 teachers excited, getting the principal excited. I'm always excited about projects. And then that's how, boule de neige.
Just maybe to complete the answer is the leading library was organized by us, the educational services, and it was a big library party, where we invited 2 teachers per school 3 times a year to discuss libraries. So that's
how can we improve them, right?
And how can we make it alive more, and make it your own. So it was also a nice initiative.
But we were not alone. We were with our consultants when we organized this presentations.
Yes.
And I'm sure you could do that in other school boards to help the other librarians, right?
Yeah. But the leading library meeting inspired Sophie, Sophie's school, but other schools also.
Oh, yes, many schools, actually. Yes. And then we had to move furniture around. And
that's your fault.
Okay, so there's no other question.
And just if ever, I didn't speak about it, but about the money. Nobody asked me the question about the money. It doesn't need to cost much. But we didn't have a limited budget, but it cost about 20,000. for the whole thing, because we changed the whole furniture. You don't need to change the whole furniture. You just need the purpose. And some sparkly colors, right? And some nice pictures. You can hire me. I'm just kidding. I don't have time. but that's it. I even add LED. You know, we had some bookshelves in the corner, dark corner. I added LEDs from a company ordered online. But anyway, just little things that are not that costly. And the building is 60 years old. By the way, I just saw the question. It's 60.
60. Yeah. That's where you found the asbestos too. Yes, 60 years old.
Yeah, everything was covered, but that was right before the painting, right before March break.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody is running out of space. You know what? And I was afraid of that, especially during pandemic, and the 4-year-old programs. And I said, no, you can't take away that space. But apparently, the ministry has, you know, like you have to keep that common space in the school. Like you need that, and that's why we transform it. It's not just a library; it's the woods. It's a place where you can be for any reason. During the whole, like I wanted that space to be taken, you know, full time. And there's a lot of teachers working there with students that then setting. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
Yeah. Do you have a technology? I saw. Do you have a technology STEM corner? Yes, there is one, and there's we got a 3D printer from some people in the community. Yeah, and we also have the cart with the laptop and the iPads. It's already there. It's available for everyone.
Yeah,
and there's also the other kind of technologies, the robots,
and that's what we put, and the games, you know, and board games and
board games.
So
it's hidden away behind cupboards.
Like the robots are behind the cupboards. Yeah, so there.
Yes. And even for the volunteers, they were so happy, like just have the space to receive the books. It was not like an old cart, you know, with the cart falling apart. And also behind, and the tiroir, like everything was thought for them to that office part.
Yes, and it works too. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yes, we wrote down the name of the school and the town too on the close to the Richelieu River. A very nice area of the South Shore.
That's a great school.
Yeah,
I miss it sometimes.
Yes,
I was there for a few.
Is it all volunteer run? Well, our library at Riverside are taken care of by volunteer. We don't have any technician in elementary schools. We have technicians only in high schools, and but we go visit, Lucie and I. It's part of what we do. We go visit elementary school, and we are there probably. Well, we answer questions on Teams. They all have access to Teams, and we also go maybe once every 3 weeks. I would say something like that, depending on the needs too. Yes.
And that's important for the volunteers, but the volunteers are there 2 days a week, where every classroom still has that 30 minutes, you know, taking books, you know, reading a story and taking out books and bringing them back. But also all the rest, well, it's a day and a half at Mountain View, and the rest of the week it's taken as, you know, the woods.
CQSB is having 3 schools built over the next few years. Oh, is it okay to contact you with questions? This is Central Quebec. That's Chelsea. Yes. Hello, Chelsea. I don't know. Sophie,
I'm open, but Lucie and Gigi can contact me. They know where I work.
Yes.
But of course, if there's any question of logistics or how did I, you know, I'm open. You know, I don't know if you saw, but I'm passionate about that. And projects. Actually, I was starting a new project at the school when I left, but it is important. And to get, I can be alone, excited about something in my office, but you need, and, you know, talking about it, being excited, making them dream, making them part of it, you know, was a secret.
Yes. So I think we'll conclude. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you,
Hey.
Sophie, for it was inspiring. It was such a beautiful experience too for Lucy and I to participate and be there with you when you came back with all those photographs. I still remember it really dearly in my heart. The whole
Yes.
process, the lunch, everything was fun and was really inspiring.
Yes.
we
Well,
also,
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, teachers that getting lost to get into a library, going to another school board and visiting and saying, "Oh, they let us in. They didn't even know we were coming on that day." It was really amazing. It was a good thing. So now
And just
it's
to
time
make them
for-
participate, taking pictures.
Yeah.
And even kids, like they were happy. They like, it's like the forest. That's why we called it the woods. And
Yeah.
anyway, thanks
I
to you. And yes,
remember-
the power of community, the power of collaboration. You cannot do that alone because, well, you're going to paint one wall and that will be it.
Yeah, it's true. And it's sad when that does happen, it's
And keep it alive. Just keep it alive.
yeah.
Keep talking about it, like to parents. And she knew Teresa is there. Like every communications, like the library, that's where we are. The new fundraiser for the library, like it was always on. You have to keep it alive. So
We have another comment from Erin or question.
Yeah, sorry, it just seems to me that like the community is already there, right? Like we're talking today about creating community and building community. I think it's a matter of like maybe shifting our perspective. And I know that's hard. Again, as I said earlier, like our jobs are so multi-layered and multi-dimensional, and sometimes all we have time to do, literally, is check out some books and shelf the ones that came back. But yeah, finding your people, finding those people that spark with you, and then inviting them in.
You know what? That's it. They're there. They're probably just waiting for the invitation. So when we are open, it's easier. Like people say, "Oh, okay. Oh, I would like to be, a part of this." Or yeah. So yeah, the community is there. It's just a matter of the communication. So be friends with your principal.
And your caretaker.
Oh yeah, the caretaker and the secretary. That's those are, and the governing board chair, the best.
Yes.
The best secret.
Thank you. So
it was a pleasure for me. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
A very big thank you
now for
Sophie.
lunch.
And I was gonna say thank you to Joan for who was our
Yes.
technician for the
And
presentation.
Karen, our captioner.
Yes. So now it's lunchtime.